My younger brother and I are to marry the two daughters of the wealthiest family. Last time, my brother had no hesitation in choosing the gentle, virtuous elder sister, leaving the sharp-tongued, fiery younger sister to me. Who knew the elder sister was only gentle on the surface. Behind closed doors, she was a martial arts fanatic, obsessed with violence, beating him until there wasn't an unbruised spot on his body. He went to the media to cry that his sister was bullying him, but because she appeared to be highly skilled, no one believed him. My younger sister had a bad temper, but was very protective. Our days were full of flavor. In the end, the younger brother was accidentally beaten by his sister and left with both legs disabled, never to stand again. I went to visit him in the hospital. He begged me to watch him at night. In the middle of the night, while I slept, he used all his strength to strangle me to death. It's all your fault. Their eldest daughter was supposed to be the one you married. You've made my life miserable. Go die. When asked again who he'd marry, my parents' son replied firmly, I like the haughty princess. I'll choose the younger daughter. I said nothing. A weight lifted from my shoulders instantly. He insisted on choosing a road that leads to hell. I was perfectly content. I like the spoiled princess. I choose my sister Olivia Taylor. My younger brother Lucas Johnson, 2 years my junior, spoke first, his face betraying lingering fear as if he had just escaped some den of demons. I knew he had been reborn. The last time he married the wealthy, gentle eldest daughter Sophia Taylor, but behind closed doors he was tormented every day. He tried to use his greater strength to subdue his wife, only to find the muscles on her body were tougher than his. Under the flesh-to-flesh care, he went to the media, crying, and showed the bruises on his body. But Sophia Taylor had an impeccable reputation, and no one believed him. Given another chance, he turned his sights to the arrogant, headstrong youngest daughter, Olivia Taylor. Mrs. Johnson advised him, that girl has a violent temper. She even talks back to her own father. If you marry her, you won't be able to control her, and life will be anything but peaceful. Be sensible. Your mother wants what's best for you. Choose her eldest daughter. She's easier to handle. Lucas Johnson sneered. Are you trying to force me to die? I secretly found out that Sophia Taylor practices martial arts in private, has violent tendencies, and is ruthless in beating people. If you wanted to marry her, and she takes a dislike to me and attacks me, what then? If she doesn't beat you, you won't mind the pain, right? His words barely hid his resentment toward Mrs. Johnson. I lowered my eyes to hide the scorn in them. In his previous life, Lucas Johnson hated that Mrs. Johnson had urged him to choose Sophia Taylor. After he was disabled, he killed Mrs. Johnson with poison first and then strangled me. After being reborn, how could I show her any kindness? Unfortunately, Lucas Johnson is Mrs. Johnson's beloved child. No matter how bad his attitude, even if he spat in her face, she would still find it sweet. Mrs. Johnson patiently tried to persuade me. I've never heard that his eldest daughter hits people. Everyone I know says Sophia Taylor has a very good temper. I thought she would be perfect for you, gentle and virtuous, suitable for a married life. If the couple ever quarrel, Mom wouldn't have to worry about you being treated unfairly. I want to marry the younger one. Don't try to convince me. They argued for a long time, and neither of them paid any attention to me. Ethan Johnson. I have nothing to say. I had long since had enough of the overbearing Olivia Taylor. Others only saw us as a loving couple. When I was harassed, Olivia Taylor beat up those who bullied me one by one. But what I didn't know was that once the door was closed, her temper was domineering and her tongue venomous. Whatever I did, I would have to endure her endless ridicule and contempt. Olivia Taylor was spoiled by the richest man, Richard Taylor, and didn't hold back at all after marriage. I suffered following in her wake. When she caused trouble, I cleaned up the mess. Daughter-obsessed Richard Taylor couldn't bring himself to scold her and took his punishment out on me instead. Once she played a prank that ended with a poor boy, Eli Parker, having his leg broken, then laughed and walked away. She didn't expect that, despite his outward lack of power or status, he would turn around and call on his influential father, Benjamin Parker, for support. Richard Taylor, to appease people, cruelly punished Olivia Taylor. Listening to my daughter's pitiful cries, she called my name that very night. He gripped the whip and lashed me hard. Worthless. Can't even keep an eye on your wife. I entrusted our daughter to you, so you'd take care of her. And now she's caused trouble and been severely punished, wasted away. What use are you? I numbly lived a life that looked glamorous on the outside, but was filled with humiliation inside. Numbly watching Olivia Taylor quickly disdain me and embrace others, even forcing me to give my left kidney for the return of his white moonlight, numbly enduring Richard Taylor's lashings again and again. I have thought countless times how great it would be if I hadn't married Olivia Taylor. At this moment, the chance to change fate arrived. I listened to Lucas Johnson's voice, deliriously delighted. I love hot-tempered ones. I like Olivia Taylor. I'm going to marry her, and nobody can stop me. Mrs. Johnson couldn't change Lucas Johnson's decision. She looked at me and said coldly, "You're lucky, Ethan Johnson, a coward like you getting such a sweet-tempered wife." Her words were sharp with mockery, but I was used to it and didn't feel much. Anyway, in Mrs. Johnson's eyes, me, the eldest son raised in Detroit by my grandparents, could never measure up to the younger son, Lucas Johnson, who had been doted on and kept close. Our family could only be considered nouveau riche. We couldn't compare to the true aristocratic fortunes. If it weren't for Grandma Margaret Johnson's excellent medical skills, she once saved the life of the father of the richest man, Richard Taylor. The marriage alliance would never have involved the two of us brothers. Originally Margaret Johnson, after discussing the matter with Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson, made the request that I marry the eldest daughter, Sophia Taylor. Kind-hearted Margaret Johnson stroked my head and said, "This old woman has met that eldest girl. She's a good one. Ethan, as long as you live well with her and don't cause trouble, she will cherish you dearly. My dear grandson is faithful and gentle. You and that girl are perfectly matched." After hearing Margaret Johnson's words, I too was convinced that Sophia Taylor would be my future wife. But unexpectedly, when Mrs. Johnson heard that Sophia Taylor had a gentle temperament, she insisted that Lucas Johnson should marry her. In the end, Lucas Johnson married the eldest daughter and was beaten into disability, and I was tormented by the younger daughter Olivia Taylor and Richard Taylor until I wished I were dead. This time, things returned to normal. My eyes welled with tears. Even if my wife beat me to death in this lifetime, it would still be better than being beaten to death by Richard Taylor. Besides, since Margaret Johnson wanted me to marry Sophia Taylor, she wouldn't push me into a pit of fire. The wedding day arrived quickly. Richard Taylor threw a lavish joint wedding reception for his two daughters. The venue was packed with guests and held in a luxurious New York hotel. Backstage, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson hovered around Lucas Johnson, their faces showing undisguised delight. Even though I was alone and unattended, the thought that I'd finally rid myself of the spoiled Princess Olivia Taylor in this life filled my face with joy. Lucas Johnson glanced at me and snorted coldly. "What are you laughing at? Ethan Johnson, your suffering is still to come. Sophia Taylor is no good. If you marry her, expect to be beaten into a cripple. When that time comes, you won't be able to say a word. Let's see if you can still laugh then." I was still laughing. Does he really think Olivia Taylor is anything good? As if I enjoyed some great fortune in my previous life. "Lucas, good luck to you." Before the wedding began, I sincerely wished him well. The moment the sisters stepped out in their pure white wedding gowns, everyone in the hall couldn't help but follow their figures with their eyes. Sophia Taylor's face was as gentle as water. Olivia Taylor was bright and fiery. The men below couldn't help but envy. What kind of damned luck did the Johnson brothers hit? I didn't even look at Olivia Taylor, my eyes fixed firmly on Sophia Taylor. When Richard Taylor led them up, I impatiently took Sophia Taylor into my arms, afraid someone would snatch her away. Sophia Taylor glanced at me shyly and obediently walked beside me. My heart stirred, captivated by the liquid grace that flowed through her. This is the kind of bride I idealize. Last time, Olivia Taylor was unhappy with my family background. Her expression was as sour as could be. When I want to take her hand, she just shrugged it off. When saying the vows, she was even more disrespectful, mangling them into a mess and utterly humiliating me. Afterward, the media made a fuss, and Olivia Taylor and I became a joke. Richard Taylor wouldn't reprimand his youngest daughter, but he blamed me for not holding her heart. In short, I endured a great humiliation. Could Lucas Johnson, proud and arrogant, stand for that? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but look forward to what would happen next. My wedding with Sophia Taylor went off smoothly, but things did not go well on Lucas Johnson's side. When Richard Taylor handed Olivia Taylor's hand to Lucas Johnson, Olivia snorted coldly, withdrew her hand without hesitation, paying no heed to Lucas Johnson's embarrassment. Lucas Johnson, restraining his anger, tried to persuade her, "Olivia, this is the one and only wedding of our lives. Please behave." But Olivia Taylor grew even angrier. Ignoring the expressions of Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson in the audience, she shouted at him on the spot. Who do you think you are to call me Olivia? I'm doing you a favor by attending and marrying a man like you. So where do you get off making so many demands? My dad didn't even tell me what to do, and you dare tell me to behave? Lucas Johnson wanted to curse, but Richard Taylor was glaring at him from the side, so he held back. Only after groveling and coaxing Olivia Taylor into calming down did she agree to continue with the proceedings. Who would have thought that after Sophia Taylor and I exchanged our tender wedding vows, when it came to Lucas Johnson and Olivia Taylor, another unexpected twist occurred. The priest Father Mike had been bribed by Olivia Taylor in advance. He asked groom Lucas Johnson, "Do you vow to follow the marriage vows? And no matter what happens in the future, are you willing to obey Olivia Taylor, lick her boots, do as she says without question, and be her dog for life?" Olivia Taylor laughed uproariously, her eyes looking at Lucas Johnson with scorn. Lucas Johnson's face was already flushed. His eyes were red as he threw a punch at Olivia Taylor. "Bitch, you did this. How am I supposed to save face now?" In the audience, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson's expressions fell. Seeing things were going badly, Richard Taylor had already sent people to quickly control the media and had someone restrain Lucas Johnson. When Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson came to demand an explanation, he said with significance, "Olivia is a bit of a playful child, but she's not bad at heart. From now on, your family, Lucas, as her husband, should be more accommodating, tolerate a little, stir up feelings a bit. We're in-laws. We'll be dealing with each other a lot. Don't let a small thing make you lose your temper." The family's business still needed Richard Taylor's support, and Mr. and Mrs. Johnson couldn't hold their heads high. They could only urge Lucas Johnson, "Lucas, your in-laws are right. You and Miss Olivia are married. A little friction is normal. As a man, you shouldn't be so particular." Lucas Johnson glared, nearly spitting blood. Lucas Johnson still went through the procedures with Olivia Taylor. Richard Taylor is powerful. He wouldn't allow Ethan to call off the engagement. As he drove Sophia Taylor back to the new house in New York, Lucas Johnson saw how relaxed I looked and snarled, "I'm always better than a coward like you, Ethan Johnson. When Sophia Taylor beats you black and blue in the future, you'll envy me." I smiled and ignored him. Back in the new room, a shy voice from the bathroom, Sophia Taylor, said, "Honey, can you help me get the bath towel?" My ears went hot as I took the towel and approached. "I'm coming." Open the door. Before I could finish, the door suddenly opened and a fair hand pulled me inside. Afterwards, I stared blankly at the ceiling, my arms still pinned by Sophia Taylor. I never would have imagined that beneath my wife's gentle-as-water appearance, there was such an understanding of men's hearts. "Now that we're married, you're mine," Sophia Taylor said. "I don't like dirty men, and you mustn't do anything that will hurt me, or else." "Or else what?" I asked. Sophia Taylor burrowed into my arms and stroked my earlobe. "Or else I'll beat you, break your legs, and then you won't be able to go anywhere except by my side." It sounds like a joke, but I finally understand why. Despite Sophia Taylor being gentle with others, Lucas Johnson of the previous life ended up in such a state. Margaret Johnson was right. If you want to have a good life with Sophia Taylor, you mustn't cause trouble or betray her. Lucas Johnson was always fickle. Even after marriage, he didn't restrain himself, frequently going to clubs to find women and even bringing his mistress home. No wonder Sophia Taylor acted so ruthlessly. A few days later, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson called me to come home for dinner at their residence in Los Angeles. I had just brought Sophia Taylor through the door and hadn't rested when Mrs. Johnson urged me. "Coming so late? Ethan, take your wife inside to start cooking quickly. Lucas will be here soon. His stomach is delicate and he can't handle being hungry." Hearing her say that, I turned and led Sophia Taylor away. It's been like this since I was little. They abandoned me in Detroit as a left-behind child and only brought me back when they needed a babysitter. Back then, I was still young and yearned for my parents' affection, thinking that as long as I worked hard and was dutiful, I could win their love. Cooking laundry, all the housework fell to me. Exhausted from high school, I just wanted to collapse and sleep, yet I still had to force myself to wash the dirty clothes of their family of 3. It wasn't until later that I understood. Lucas Johnson didn't have to do anything. He only needed to stand there, and Mr. Johnson's and Mrs. Johnson's love would be all focused on him. "What are you running for?" Mrs. Johnson scolded. Seeing obedient Sophia Taylor nearby, she added, "Sophia, you married into our family. Mr. Johnson and I are your elders too. Isn't doing some housework reasonable? Use your eyes. Mr. Johnson's cup is empty, Go refill it. I laughed angrily. They enslaved me, and marrying Sophia Taylor to me wasn't enough. They didn't even spare her. Let's go. We've embarrassed them. I grabbed Sophia Taylor and was about to leave. Bro, that's where you're wrong. Lucas Johnson arrived then, looking disapproving. You're the younger generation. Coming to your in-laws' house to help with chores is fine. At the first disagreement, you want to take your wife away? Is that your idea of filial piety? I glanced at Olivia Taylor beside him and suddenly smiled. Lucas, you're right. Then what are you still standing there for? Lucas Johnson said, his eyes full of hostility. Afraid we'd leave, he even pushed me toward the kitchen. Go on, Sophia. Help with the cooking. I remember Sophia is good in the kitchen. Mom's been working hard by herself. It's the perfect chance to get her to help. I sneered inwardly, turned to face Olivia Taylor with a changed expression. Olivia, my brother is flirting with you. As a younger generation visiting, you should consciously do the housework. Lucas verbally urged Sophia and me to set off, but actually, seeing you not move, he was secretly pushing you. When Olivia Taylor heard that, her pretty face cooled slightly. You marrying me is a blessing you earned over 8 lifetimes. This is your first time visiting, and you dare to expect me to serve you personally? My father has never even eaten my cooking. Who do you think you are? A flash of anger crossed Lucas Johnson's eyes. He suppressed his temper and cooed to Olivia Taylor. I'm not targeting you. I was telling my brother and his wife. With a smack, Olivia Taylor's slap landed across his face. She snapped. Sophia is my real sister. We come from the same family. Insulting her is no different from insulting me. Shameless thing, you're sneakily targeting me. Lucas Johnson was also furious and started arguing with her on the spot. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson saw this and decisively stepped in to help Lucas Johnson. For a moment, the pleasant dinner turned into a melee. I held Sophia Taylor's hand, watched the commotion for a while, and left before the flames reached us. Not long after I returned, Richard Taylor called, saying he was going to convene a family trial. His voice betrayed anger, and I was curious. It wasn't until I arrived at his New York villa that I learned Lucas Johnson, emboldened by Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson's support, had laid a hand on Olivia Taylor. Olivia Taylor, sporting a slap mark, cried in front of Richard Taylor, Dad, you have to stand up for me. We've only been married a few days, and he already forces me to serve his whole family. When I refuse, he dares to hit me. He clearly doesn't respect you at all. He doesn't respect our Taylor family. Richard Taylor's face went ashen. He shouted at the nervous Lucas Johnson in front of him, Kneel. Lucas Johnson obediently knelt down. Father-in-law, I didn't mean to hit her. Please believe me. It was Olivia. She's sharp-tongued and simply unreasonable. Before he finished, an iron fist struck his forehead. Richard Taylor sneered. My Olivia is only a bit mischievous, and you dare look down on her and hit her? Who gave you the right? If you don't know how to be a proper husband, then let me teach you. Saying that, his tiger-like eyes swept toward me. I was startled, then heard him say, Ethan, you stay here and see what happens to those who wrong my daughter. Someone, bring the whip. Butler James respectfully handed over the long whip. Richard Taylor tested the feel, then, amid Lucas Johnson's horrified gaze, began to wildly lash with the whip. Lucas Johnson, with his delicate skin, couldn't stand it and kept screaming, Stop hitting me. Stop. I know I was wrong. Dad, please stop. He scrambled on the ground, but Richard Taylor's attacks followed him like a shadow. Beside them, Olivia Taylor clapped her hands. I barely managed to feign pity, my mouth twitching uncontrollably. Sophia Taylor whispered in my ear, If you want to laugh, laugh. Hiding behind me won't let you be seen. Finally, Richard Taylor let Lucas Johnson go after tiring himself out. He coldly admonished Lucas Johnson, who lay motionless on the ground like a dead dog. If I don't teach you a lesson, you won't remember. Lucas Johnson, I'll leave it at this today. Olivia is my precious daughter. If you so much as touch a hair on her head, I'll beat you to death. Lucas Johnson was too frightened to make a sound. After Richard Taylor left, he saw me standing to the side and immediately grimaced. Don't think I didn't see you laughing at me, Ethan Johnson. What's so funny? At least I was beaten by my fellow man, my father-in-law. What about you? You're just a coward who was beaten by his wife and didn't dare make a sound. What right do you have to laugh at me? One day you'll be even more miserable than I am today. I'll be waiting for the day you get crippled. I took Sophia Taylor's hand and asked softly, Honey, would you hit me? Sophia Taylor's cheeks flushed slightly as she shook her head. You're my husband, and you're so devoted and faithful to me. How could I bear to lay a finger on you? So I said pityingly to Lucas Johnson, what a shame. That day will never come. Sophia and I are so lovey-dovey. She wouldn't dream of hitting me. Lucas Johnson rolled his eyes and fainted from anger. After being beaten up, Lucas Johnson ran home and cried to Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson called me in the middle of the night to scold me, essentially asking why I hadn't stood in front of Lucas Johnson as a human shield and why I hadn't protected him. I replied with one word: get out. Later I heard they talked to Richard Taylor. The conversation didn't seem to have much effect. Lucas Johnson learned his lesson and became obedient and meek. Olivia Taylor spat the fruit pit into his mouth, and he didn't mind it at all, like a dog. Too bad. I smiled. Did he think that would be enough? I tried flattering Olivia Taylor in my past life. I once deluded myself that obedience alone could buy a good life. But Olivia Taylor's overbearing, arrogant nature couldn't be changed. She had an incredible talent for stirring up trouble. Whenever she got into trouble, Richard Taylor's reputation was tarnished. He couldn't bring himself to punish his daughter, so his cold gaze turned to his husband, Lucas Johnson. Useless. Worthless thing. If you can't even look after your wife, what use are you to me? Once again, Richard Taylor's eyes were full of rage, and the whip sliced through the air. Lucas Johnson rolled on the ground, wailing in agony, clutching his head and scurrying about. Dad! Dad! I was wrong. Please don't hit me. I'll make sure to reason with her next time. I'll stick to her every step. Please don't hit me. Begging and insults were all useless. Lucas Johnson was still whipped into a bloody pulp. In the middle of the night, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson were crying and shouting as they rushed their son to a hospital in Los Angeles. When Lucas was being beaten, you were clearly right there. Why didn't you stop it? Mrs. Johnson glared at me fiercely as she saw I was unscathed. Is that how you are as a brother? Don't think this has nothing to do with you. Ethan Johnson. Remember this. He suffered in your place. You were supposed to have been beaten like that. If you hadn't switched brides, my Lucas wouldn't be suffering so badly. They watched their beloved youngest son on the brink of death and felt utterly powerless, crying their eyes out. I sneered. Blame me? You two were such cowardly parents. Your son got beaten and you didn't dare utter a peep, and now you're coming to blame me. Aren't you ashamed? When I was once tormented, I tried tentatively to ask them for help. How did they answer me? Richard Taylor is your other father. It's only natural for a father to beat his son. He's a respectable, richest man. Him being willing to beat you shows he has high hopes for you. You just have to bear it. Don't cry foul over every little thing. I was so worn down I lost my spirit and wanted a divorce. They jumped up even more. Divorce what? I think Richard Taylor is right to beat you. Looking at your wretched face, I feel like beating you myself. What are you complaining about? Being able to marry a daughter of the Taylor family is a tremendous blessing. Don't fail to appreciate your good fortune. If you dare to divorce before Richard Taylor even beats you, I'll just beat you to death myself. At this moment, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson, having heard my taunts, went red and white in the face and, pointing at me, were so furious they couldn't speak. Suddenly, there was movement from Lucas Johnson in the hospital room. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson hurried in, and a moment later came out looking grim and called to me, Ethan, your brother wants to say something to you. On the hospital bed, Lucas Johnson's face was pale, his eyes frozen with pitch-black hatred. Ethan Johnson, why didn't you tell me before? You hit it so well. You're clearly a worthless man being bullied by your wife and her father, yet you pretended to be doing so well. Your so-called happy life was all a lie. Your damn vanity dragged me down. I'm in the state today because of you. Lucas Johnson was unusually agitated and even wanted to get out of bed to hit me. I looked bewildered. What are you talking about? I don't understand. My wife Sophia would never be mean to me. She wouldn't dare bully me. Have you been hit so hard you've lost touch with reality? Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson, Lucas Johnson has been beaten so badly his brain is scrambled and he's babbling. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson rushed in, and I slipped out along with them. Sophia Taylor and I spent a long, honeyed, blissful time together. Actually, everyone wasn't wrong. She really is a gentle, charming woman. However, overly gentle things are easily bullied. Sophia Taylor is very clever. She's not just gentle. Beneath that mild appearance, she is trained in boxing and martial arts for years. Her physique is so strong that even I feel inferior. During this time, Lucas Johnson spent his days alternately nursing injuries and getting beaten up again. The perpetually bruised, thin, sullen Lucas Johnson exploded when he heard that Sophia Taylor had helped me close a big company deal and had spent a fortune, turned into tens of thousands of dollars, to prepare a birthday gift for me. Why do you get such a good life? Ethan Johnson, do you think you can rest easy because of this? Impossible. Sophia Taylor is a paranoid woman. If you show the slightest sign of trouble, she'll act like a madwoman checking on you every day. I don't believe you can always keep your distance from other women. Sooner or later you'll be like me. No, worse than me. Lucas Johnson twisted his face and cursed wildly. I kindly reminded him, Richard Taylor asked you to be in his room at 7. You're late. Lucas Johnson panicked, not knowing what to do, and ran off trembling. A few nights later, after an evening engagement, I had drunk quite a lot. A cold wind blew, making my whole body feverish. My head ached, and I was unsteady. A sultry woman, Chloe Davis, came over to steady me. Sir, are you feeling unwell? Come, let me help you. Her hands were restless, groping everywhere. She even stood on tiptoe, her rosy lips almost touching my cheek. No, I don't need that. Get out of here. I pushed her away irritably. But Chloe Davis wouldn't leave me alone. She followed me everywhere. I tried to shake her off, but the alcohol must have hit me hard. The world spun. Sir, don't try to be brave. Look at how drunk you are. It's not safe for you to be alone. Let me help you. Chloe Davis pressed close. My mind was hazy, and my hands had no strength to refuse. I don't know how long passed before she brought me to an unfamiliar hotel, a luxury hotel in downtown New York. My boyfriend is drunk. Book a couple's room. Chloe Davis told the front desk. As the elevator rose floor by floor, one thought filled my mind. I'm done for. If my wife found out I'd been dirted by another woman, no need to imagine further. I would surely fall from heaven into hell. She would seamlessly switch from gentle, virtuous wife mode to boxing champ mode. The past sweetness would be gone, and I would inevitably become the punching bag in her hands. The key card opened the door. Chloe Davis drew close to me. Mr. Ethan, behave yourself, and it will be wonderful. A warm hand undid my tie, gently sliding down along my neck. No, please. Before she could touch me further, my terror reached its peak. I shot up, lashed out blindly, and, fighting the dizziness, staggered out of the room. After staggering for a while, I slid down the wall and, trembling, fumbled my phone out of my pocket. The emergency contact listed is my wife Sophia Taylor's number, so I called. Honey, aren't you at a work event? Missing me? Sophia Taylor's gentle voice came through on the other end. I said plaintively, Wife, come save me. I've been taken away. A woman drugged me and took me to a hotel, and she's forcing me. Before I finished, Chloe Davis found me. She snatched the phone and taunted Sophia Taylor on the line. He's drunk and a bit confused, he accidentally dialed. A night of passion is worth a king's ransom. We have things to do, goodbye. By the time Sophia Taylor found us using the location on my phone and kicked open the closed door, she saw this scene. Clothes scattered all over the room, and I, her husband, was being held tightly by Chloe Davis, the two of us in an intimate pose, as if we had already been physically intimate. Ethan Johnson, what is going on? Sophia Taylor's face showed no emotion. Her once gentle, watery eyes were heavy. At first I was relieved, then terrified. I didn't do anything to wrong you. Honey, believe me, someone is deliberately framing me. I really couldn't push this woman away. She got close to me. Please believe me. My face was deathly pale as I looked around. It was clearly the aftermath of a big fight, which made my explanation especially flimsy. No woman would believe it. Sophia Taylor didn't speak. Someone else spoke up first. Ethan Johnson, what are you smirking about? Lucas Johnson stepped out from behind Sophia Taylor, clicking his tongue in dismay. Sophia and I saw with our own eyes you and that woman in a state of undress, a man and a woman alone in a room. What happened is obvious. Any clear-sighted person would know there's no innocence between you two. What do you expect Sophia to believe about you? Don't you pride yourself on being pure and devoted to Sophia? To me, you're full of lies, all meant to deceive Sophia. Sophia, look at him. My brother is a sleazebag. If you don't beat him, he cheats. He's not worth your kindness. See? He's been cavorting with that woman. I clenched my fist and punched Lucas Johnson. You were the one who ordered her to frame me. You damned bastard. Lucas Johnson screamed as he crawled towards Sophia Taylor. Sophia, save me. My brother's gone mad. Stop him. He's betrayed you. Teach him a lesson so he never dares to defy you again. Sophia Taylor glanced at Lucas Johnson, then fixed her gaze on me. Stop. I listlessly lower my hand, having lost all options. Hit me then. I was too reckless this time. I admit my mistake. Having spoken in self-abandonment, I waited for Sophia Taylor to strike. Who said I was going to hit you? Sophia Taylor's voice came. I asked in disbelief. You believe me? I pride myself on reading people well. You don't have a nerve to cheat on me behind my back, Sophia Taylor said calmly. Besides, if you had, there would be no need to call me. Some trust between spouses still exists. Now, give me an explanation. How did it come to this? I hesitated, then recounted tonight's events in detail, finally adding, that woman Chloe Davis seemed on a mission. She kept pursuing me despite my repeated refusals. And Lucas Johnson has disliked me for a long time. Following you late at night to catch us in the act is suspicious. Sophia Taylor narrowed her eyes and looked at Lucas Johnson. Seeing her glance, Lucas Johnson panicked. You believe his lies. Ethan Johnson isn't a decent man. How could he possibly stay faithful to you his whole life? He's the one who can't keep it in his pants and chases other women. What does that have to do with me? Sophia, come on, hit him. With a smack, Sophia Taylor slapped Lucas Johnson across the face. Shut up. Our family matters are none of your business. Lucas Johnson clutched his face and fell silent. No need for more words. Husband, I believe you. Sophia Taylor's eyes were gentle. You suffered tonight. I didn't protect you well and let that petty man take advantage. Come home with me and have a bowl of ginseng soup to calm your nerves. I was taken away in such a daze, with no scolding, no questioning. When we passed Lucas Johnson, I saw the look of existential doubt on his face and smiled. Your plan failed, Lucas. My wife loves me the most. Even if you try to sow discord, what good will it do? Lucas Johnson retorted unwillingly. You think it's over? Sophia Taylor is petty and has a cleanliness obsession that's disgusting. If that woman touched you, she'd be sick with jealousy and you'll pay for it later. I sighed. You idiot. Don't you think I know my wife's temperament? Knowing that, I'd sooner die than let another woman touch me. Lucas Johnson doesn't believe it. That's fine, as long as Sophia Taylor believes. At night, in the bathroom, Sophia Taylor gently touched the wounds on my body with concern. Honey, you were too hard on yourself. These wounds must hurt, right? You went to such lengths for me. I really don't know what to say. I had several bleeding wounds on my leg, all inflicted when my mind was confused. Afraid I couldn't control myself, I cruelly used sharp objects nearby to stab. That's nothing, darling. I'm defending our happiness. I couldn't bear to see the disappointment in your eyes, I said softly. Sophia Taylor was even more moved. The promised late-night snack was brought over after a round of couples bath. After we ate our fill, while she was cleaning the kitchenware, I took out my dead phone. I opened the phone case, checked the bug inside, and then, before Sophia Taylor returned, nonchalantly put it back together. That's right, my wife had planted a listening device in my phone. She knew everything that happened. That's why she acted so trusting toward me. Only when most women would feel hurt and throw a tantrum could she appear placid and carefree, even finding the leisure to make a late-night snack. Honey, you worked hard today. Let me give you a massage. Sophia Taylor held my head tenderly like water, guilt filling her heart. After all, I had harmed myself to protect our marriage, and she didn't trust me as much as she pretended to. I leaned in her arms and squinted my eyes in comfort. It didn't matter. Her paranoia, her unease, I wasn't afraid. I even enjoyed it, enjoyed her need, enjoyed her care. Lucas Johnson was crying his eyes out again, this time a bit different from before, much worse. Olivia Taylor, as in her previous life, had provoked someone she shouldn't have. Because in this life, she no longer had a husband to take the blows and insults. Her temper was even more volatile and her actions far more ruthless. She had blinded a man's eye and swaggered off. And that man was Noah Wilson, the son of big shot Samuel Wilson, who was out experiencing life. The aggrieved party Noah Wilson came with big shot father Samuel Wilson to demand justice. As the richest man, Richard Taylor bowed and kowtowed respectfully, but it was still useless. Samuel Wilson didn't take a sip of tea. He only said, an eye for an eye. Olivia Taylor's eyes must be compensated to them. How to compensate? Richard Taylor couldn't feign ignorance. So he reluctantly had Olivia Taylor sent to a hospital he owned in Chicago to have her eyeballs removed. How heartbreaking that the once bright, arrogant heiress has been reduced to a one-eyed woman. Afterwards, Richard Taylor's hair turned half white. Anger needed someone to bear it. Richard Taylor caught sight of the lively Lucas Johnson, and flames of furious heat burst from his eyes. "You damn bastard. Why didn't you watch Olivia properly? She's your wife. You knew her temper. Why didn't you stop her in time? Huh? What?" Richard Taylor gripped the barbed whip to vent his rage. Lucas Johnson cried and rolled on the ground. I didn't know she had offended Samuel Wilson's son. I thought Noah Wilson was just an ordinary person. Who would have thought someone would pretend to be poor just to experience being poor? And father-in-law, Olivia never listens to what I say. It's not that I didn't want to, I just didn't have the ability to persuade her. Richard Taylor's eyes were icy cold. So, you're saying it has nothing to do with you? Lucas Johnson nodded repeatedly. Yes, father-in-law, I'm not at fault. So by your logic, my daughter deserved to be disabled. And you're blameless? Richard Taylor sneered. Where's your sense of responsibility? You only know how to shirk it. Are you even a man? You're not. Stop your lies. A whip full of force lashed Lucas Johnson until his skin split and flesh was torn. He let out a heart-wrenching scream and fainted. Satisfied, I turned off the monitor. It was set up in Richard Taylor's living room, and everyone in the household had access. Sophia Taylor likes me and knows I enjoy watching Lucas Johnson get beaten, so she had already given me permission. I have to admit, watching an enemy get beaten is really satisfying. I was about to cut some fruit, planning to come back and watch, when something major happened while I was away. Richard Taylor was stabbed. In a Los Angeles hospital, Richard Taylor lay weakly in a hospital bed, his lips completely bloodless. He was stabbed 18 times by Lucas Johnson, who had been pretending to be unconscious, and I was the one who discovered him in time and had him rushed to the hospital for treatment. Several critical condition notices were issued. Only after great difficulty did he finally get through the danger period. But even so, his life expectancy was not long. And my younger brother Lucas Johnson, he's done for. Ethan Johnson, he's your blood brother from the same mother. You can't stand by and do nothing. Outside the ward, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson were crying their eyes out. Please beg for mercy. Make Sophia Taylor sign the letter of forgiveness. Lucas is still young. His best years can't be wasted in there. We're begging you as his parents. Sophia Taylor and I sat by the hospital bed keeping watch. Listening to the cries outside, she asked me, Husband, what are you going to do? That letter of forgiveness. I showed no expression. Do not sign. I was so decisive that Sophia Taylor glanced at me. But they're your parents. If you look on coldly, they'll never see you as their son again. Losing both parents like that, doesn't that make you feel bad? I gave a bitter laugh. They never treated me like their son anyway. No matter how bad I am, how bad could it get? I'll handle this myself. I won't dirty your hands. I'll go and settle it with them myself. I met with Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson. At the first sight of me, they grabbed my hands tightly. Ethan, you're the only one who can save Lucas now. Please, beg Sophia Taylor to sign a letter of pardon. After all, we're family. Think of your blood relatives and save your brother. My expression remained unreadable as I glanced over their anxious faces. I slowly drew back my sleeve and put on a look of grief. Didn't you say Richard Taylor is another father of mine? My real father was attacked. It's already painful enough that I, as a son, can't take revenge myself. And now you want me to exonerate the murderer? No way. Lucas Johnson deserves what he gets. He must stay in prison to atone. How dare he lay hands on Richard Taylor? If he has to die in there, I will not plead for him. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson cried until they lost their voices, and Mrs. Johnson demanded of me, You unfilial child, do you really want us to kneel to you? I looked at her, my expression complex. The little son she constantly worried over, Lucas Johnson, had poisoned her in his previous life, yet now she was willing to sell her dignity to beg me to save Lucas Johnson. My eyes reddened. When you begged me, did you ever think about Sophia Taylor's feelings? That's her biological father. You wanted to force her to exonerate the murderer. What are you thinking? I finally have a family. Do you want her to leave me too for you to be satisfied? I'm warning you, if you make me get a divorce, I'll go and kill that bastard Lucas Johnson myself. My gaze was bloodshot. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson were terrified. I took a deep breath and called the bodyguards over. From today on, don't come looking for me anymore. Pretend I was never born. After all, that's how you've treated me all these years. Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson were chased away by the bodyguards in tears. I turned and walked away without looking back. In the end, Richard Taylor died of organ failure. Sophia Taylor became the chairwoman of the Taylor Group, and I became the man standing behind the chairwoman. Wealth and glory are all in my hands. Although some say I live off a man, it doesn't affect me. They think anyone can enjoy this comfortable life. It's just a bit of jealousy. I don't pay it any mind. As for my younger brother Lucas Johnson, I've heard he's not doing well in prison. No wonder. Sophia Taylor and I have a grudge against him, and we long ago instructed people to pay him special attention in there. It would be strange if he were doing well. Many years later, while Sophia Taylor and I were traveling the world, we heard that Lucas Johnson had died. On his deathbed, he kept shouting, "Again, do it again. This time I'll still choose Sophia Taylor. I vow to remain chaste for her." I snorted and dismissed him from my mind.